Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unboxing Theories. I am here with my initial review on the lyrics for Dystopia, on just kind of the vibe and the feelings, most specifically the lyrics, because that's my favorite thing to really deep dive into. So I figured let's just do it. So I wrote down some notes for myself, so it's kind of like semi-scripted, I guess, but I will be going off on little tangents here and there, so I'm very excited to start reading this to you. Okay, so first things first is gorgeous. We know this. Okay, we're going to start from the beginning and kind of go through. So the intro to the music video kind of opens, and there's this Japanese text at the side, or actually I think it might be in Korean, but either way, there's this text on the side, and it shows different demons, and this is what it says in that text. It says, in English, okay, in translation, "A child born as a son of a king goes to refuge after seeing his kingdom destroyed. Across the wide blue ocean, he sees people getting oppressed by monsters." So what we know from this is that Mujin was a prince. He's always been royalty, but something happened to his father's kingdom. I think in some way he had something to do with that, and you'll understand as the lyrics go on why I think that. But I think basically that he may have been the cause for whatever happened to his father's kingdom. So moving on, I will be looking at some other lyrics, and I will put them on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. But there's these lyrics that go, "It's going to burrow into your weak nature. It's just a fantasy of a moment to hell. Rewind the thread of your fate. Make the flower bloom with all of your soul." Now, I think it's interesting that this lyric points out a weak nature. For me, kingdom songs always focus on the king of that era, regardless of who is singing the lyric at the time. So I think that this points to Mujin having regrets for whatever happened in his father's kingdom, which was probably caused by his weak nature, and wanting to make it right. So he wants to rewind the thread of fate. He wants to make it right. And interesting how we get that idea of rewinding fate, right? Because we saw a lot of that in Louis's era. So here we are seeing it again. And I mean, fate is throughout every single kingdom music video, but you know, it's interesting to see something very, very similar. So anyway, that's that piece, so we're going to move forward with the next. "All delight swiftly crushed in the rise of this evil rampage." So obviously that's the demons when they showed up. In the darkness, let there be light," which I love, by the way. Sorry, I keep pausing for each one. But in the darkness, let there be light. The kings are always depicted as light in a dark place. We see that in Ascension. We see that in Long Live the King. I believe it's also mentioned in Excalibur. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have all of the lyrics right in front of me. But there's this idea of there's this darkness that is coming to get them, and they are the light. So it's just, I love seeing that again. We're just seeing continual themes, and I just love it. So it says, "All of it, a debt of cruelty, all of it, before the dew gets dried." And I like that. I love that lyric, actually. That immediately drew my eye. Because obviously the meaning for that is before the sun can rise and dry, like the grass, right? The dew off of the grass. So this, whatever they have to do it before the sun rises. It's something that has to happen at night, which I just think is just a fun detail. But anyway, also in that lyric, "a debt of cruelty" is another aspect of Mujin that I think stems from his past. Was he a cruel prince? Was that why his father's kingdom fell? Also the idea of light overcoming darkness being the constant theme. Sorry, I literally just repeated myself, but I was reading my notes and I didn't even realize that I'd written that down. But yes, anyway, that is a constant theme. But then we have that idea that maybe Mujin was not a good prince in his past life, right? All right, moving forward. So we have "the flower blooming in the dark. It is an overwhelming sword of salvation." I think that that's referring to the cherry blossom tree. "Drowning in the abyss like a dystopia, like a dystopia." And here I think the idea of dystopia can go even further than just the kingdom that has been destroyed. I think it's Mujin's inner dystopia, his struggle with the self. Much like Louis had to struggle with fears of the rising sun and time moving on without him, or Dan with the betrayal of his people, Chiu with his own self-indulgent behavior, etc., etc., Mujin has an inner dystopia because of what he had done in the past. So even though there is a literal dystopia, it's also himself. Okay. On a night when hatred opens its eyes, darkness swallows the light. The power of the cherry blossom is suddenly disappeared. The songs of evil monsters extinguish the embers of chaos. Just look, I'll seal all the evil in me. So, just super interesting stuff in here. Even from the music video point of view, these lyrics are really interesting. I'll try to go through it here. So, but this is the most literal explanation of the story we're witnessing in Dystopia. Like, literally, the night when hatred opens its eyes, darkness swallows the light. That's the demons coming in. The power of the cherry blossom disappeared because of the demons. And then, just look, I'll seal all the evil in me. That's what he has to do, right? That's what Mujin has to do to kind of save his kingdom. Also, notably, the part on a night when hatred opens its eyes, darkness swallows the light, that is when Arthur in the music video gives the talisman to Louis. And it's just interesting to me because it's during that lyric that talks about hatred, and I wondered if there might be animosity from the kings towards Mujin, but it could also just be just literally the events are transpiring, and that's just part of the story. But I thought it was important to note that Arthur also came up with the idea to use the talisman, which obviously led to Mujin's eventual containment as a living sacrifice to help the tree bloom, which is really interesting. And also Louis, he gave it to Louis first, and Louis agreed with him. You know, he kind of looks up at him like, really? This is what we have to do? And then they both nod their heads. And then they obviously bring it to Mujin and the others to do this whatever ritual. Very interesting. I'm not 100% sure what to think about that, but definitely some interesting themes going on there. So the flower petals are blooming again. This is obviously Mujin's sacrifice that saved the cherry blossom tree. But my soul is losing its light. He's fading away because of the, being trapped, right? I don't care if I get destroyed and disappear because I will be rebuilt. He trusts that he will be saved by the kings, or maybe that he will get out on his own, whatever the case may be. Mujin has full faith that he can do what he needs to do. And other than that, other things that were noted that aren't lyrics, but are just things that I noticed in the music video itself, in the scenes that were happening. Juan seems to summon shadows with his flute. He also appears the most sinister in the music video. I think there is absolutely a purpose for this. He's intended to be the villain, or at least an anti-hero. I've talked about this a lot. Remember, Juan is looking for a throne of his own, and it's very easy to assume that he's just taken choose. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he saw an opportunity in the Kingdom of Cherry Blossoms too. It's just interesting, and he definitely just seemed like he was up to no good through most of it. And very interesting that at the beginning we see him actually summoning shadows. I don't know entirely what to think of that yet, but there's definitely something going on there. Another thing was that Jahan has broken swords, and they appeared to be covered with blood or some sort of red substance. Maybe it's more like rust or something, I'm not sure. But it was interesting because the demons appear mostly to be shadow creatures, so why are his swords bloody? It's just interesting. Mujin is able to summon a great amount of light to fight off the final giant demon, and I think the only reason that could happen was with the help of the other kings who could do the same. Ivan, Juan, and Jahan specifically are the ones that we see capable of making these little light orbs, right? Interesting to me that the villains are both involved in this ability and help to banish the demons. Just an interesting take there. I don't know, entirely, but this is my first initial thoughts, just kind of stuff I wrote down. But okay, those are really the main points that I wanted to hit. And I think to sum it all up, this story is about a once very selfish, perhaps cruel, prince who had to find a way on his own. He found a land that was suffering and he wanted to save it and the people. In doing so, he had to eventually resort to self-sacrifice, something so opposite from what he was before. And he was willing to do it to atone for his debt of cruelty. And I think in the next series, outside of History of Kingdom, we will see the kings returning to rescue him or see Mujin freeing himself from his containment. But for now, at least, we know where Mujin's kingdom is at and the struggles that it has endured. And I think it's just phenomenal. And I will be going into this more, especially kind of showing the comparisons to the other music videos that we've seen so far, and maybe lyrically do some comparisons as well. But these are just my initial thoughts, kind of what I wrote down, especially with the lyrics. The lyrics are amazing, and I really love how straightforward the lyrics were. I don't mind if sometimes Kingdom gets a little more obscure with their lyrics. Obviously, that's kind of more fun because there's many interpretations for it, but it is nice to see, oh, here's the story. This is the story we're trying to tell. And it's just really, it was really solid. Please enjoy Dystopia. I think that is all I'm going to have to add for today, guys. I know it was kind of a short video, but I just kind of wanted to get my initial thoughts out there with the lyrics and everything. And let me know what you guys think. Let me know your theories or ideas. And let's continue to hype them up. This is going to be a really great era, and I can't wait to see more from them. All right, guys.